Hey guys, it's another episode of Balance and Breakthroughs with Will. I am your host, Will, of course. And today we have one of the most powerful leaders, if not having one of the smoothest paths yet, he was able to fight his way back. You know, today's conversation is extremely personal. And it's about identity, it's about rebellion, it's about redemption, and what happens when a man decides his past will no longer define his future. I love stories like this. My guest today is Justin Henderson, a business owner and a leader in North Texas, who will tell you himself that statistically he shouldn't be here. Born into a strong family as the youngest of five, he had all the opportunities around him, and yet somewhere along the way, addictions took hold, craziness took hold, drama took hold, and then it ended up being drugs, rehab, and prison, and then a decision. A decision to return, a decision to rebuild, and a decision to take ownership of his life. And not everybody does that, but this is the show of breakthrough. And now, more than 20 years later, clean from heroin, Justin leads a successful remodeling company built on integrity, craftsmanship, and accountability. But what inspires me most is not the business, it's the transformation. Because so many people will stay stuck in their sickness and they don't use the tragedy to transform. So I am about to break bread with a legendary man who has done so much for himself and his community to make a difference. So if you've ever felt like you've gone too far, messed up too much, like me, like you, or wasted too many years, this episode is for you. So sit down, relax, and open up your ears and eyes because we're about to get it. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you for having me.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Can you give us a little brief intro about you, because some people might not know who you are.
Yeah, man. A little bit about me, man. I'm born and raised in North Texas, Collin County. Come from
Okay.
a really good family. Born into a couldn't be more blessed to be around my family. Got a great support group. Just started out with very good beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
the the path was pretty much laid out. That really all I had to do was walk in it.
Yeah, yeah. It was laid out,
It was
smooth.
laid out.
He said, "No, we don't want to do that."
Oh man, what's this path over here? What's that path over here?
Right.
Parents don't know what they're talking about. I know,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But then like you said, man, the grips of addiction and rebellion and things just they take a downward spiral on your life and just take you to places you didn't know you were headed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then praise God, a decision was made. There was an opportunity I had as a man, that I decided that this wasn't going to be the end of the story. This just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to,
Love that. Love
too much
that.
to fight for.
Mm-hmm. So many people think it's the end of their story, and really, we've just hit the climax. I'm always saying that life is an adventure, and we all love those adventure stories, adventure movies, but I don't think we realize that we're in an adventure, and so many people think it's the end when the shizzy hits the fizzy, and it's just the beginning. That's your transforming moment if you choose that. So help my people understand, because a lot of people hear about addictions, but I don't think they grasp how subtle it is and how it starts. How did yours begin?
So the addiction started basically just peer pressure, hanging out with friends. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a suburban North Texas community called Plano, Texas. Man, just a lot of people, lot of good people, to be honest with you. And
Mm-hmm.
then it really, what they say, the devil always tries to show you that he's not real.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest trick ever pulled. And the greatest
Mm-hmm.
trick ever pulled upon me was that the excitement from smoking a little weed, doing a little coke, doing a little acid, trying this, and hanging out with friends was more important than and exciting than what I was getting fed at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that excitement just kind of just grew and grew and grew. And when you're not living right, rebellion just is your sidekick.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
it's your little traveling companion.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I started more gravitating towards the person that I was becoming as a rebellious person, rather than the person who I was born to be in the person of my family, and the person that I was supposed to represent with them.
mm-hmm. What made rebellion so attractive to you as a young person? You know, because I also speak in high schools and I always kind of like to lay that out.
Well, I hate to point fingers at any entity, but sex, drugs, rock and roll, Hollywood. I mean, you hear about these things, you see movies about these things and how
Mm,
they're portrayed. You start to think you're living in some type of fantasy world that you're not. A
mm,
exciting world. People gravitate to it, girls gravitate to
mm,
it. You're creating something that is against the norm of what
mm.
everybody else is doing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a country boy and I thought I wanted to be a gangster.
How'd that go over?
I- it didn't, you know?
I was a suburb boy, thinking that
Right.
I was supposed to be gangster too, or some kind of Hollywood actor, living the dream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, and it's interesting, you know, because you said, you know, we started off with weed and a lot of students I talk to don't understand why they say that's the gateway. And I said it's not necessarily the gateway, so to speak, because of the drug. It's because of the opportunity, the doors that it opens. You know, I'm never going to meet the drug dealer or the dope dealer unless I got to the marijuana dealer. You know, and it just or the pill dealer or whatever. You know, it just starts opening all the wrong kind of networking. You know, and without that, I wouldn't have those doors opened to get deeper in. You know.
Sure. I
Hmm.
think one of the things, that hit me, my thought process was I'd always been told in school and by the parents that, drugs were so bad for you. You don't want
Mm,
to do it, you don't want to do it. And they just kind of like scare tactic you into it. And then, if marijuana is the first drug you try, not a lot of people have a bad experience on marijuana their first time.
right.
Hey,
Right.
I feel good. This is okay. I'm
Hmm.
laughing a lot,
Hmm.
hanging out with friends. How is this so bad?
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
first moments and experiences that you have. So that just opens the door for doubt. Like, oh, well, if this was, you told me this was so bad and it's not so bad,
Hmm.
are the other things not so bad either? It just opens that door of
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. You know, so really the first step in the wrong direction is and I guess it comes with that spirit of rebellion that you were talking about. It's that dangerous curiosity, you
Amen.
know. Yeah, yeah, you know. And when did that curiosity when did the warning lights start to go off with your curiosity?
I may be semi-retarded in that, but
Oh,
my my
you ain't
my,
the
my
only
warning
one.
my warning lights were really really dim, and I think we were talking about pre-show, that most people wouldn't even know me today unless I told them my story. But I've been
Hmm.
arrested more times than I can count.
Mm, mm,
I have 5 felony convictions on my record. I couldn't even sit here and tell you how many misdemeanors I have, how many probation violations. I've probably been booked into my county jail here probably more than 30 times,
mm. Starting at how old?
starting at 17 years of age.
Okay, okay, okay.
So my warning signs, I don't know if they work. The fuse might have been.
I mean, they work. We just ignored them, you
Yeah.
know? Like, oh, what's that blinking? Oh, it's nothing. So, you know, when I talk to teens, I'm like, yo, you have signs and signals, you know, they're subtle, but we're not paying attention because we think we got this, you know. How, listening to you, that being arrested 30 times, how many times did you encounter consequences and still think, that's all right, I got this,
Every time until the
right?
final. Every time I got this, oh, it ain't no big deal. It constantly the inner dialogue was always, it ain't a big deal, whatever. I got
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
constantly.
Hmm. Hmm. So now I've never met anyone that didn't know that addictions wasn't bad. Everybody knows that. But the the, the thoughts that we have that keep us in the ratchet game are so the logic is so bent and twisted, but it makes perfect sense to us, you know. So what was some of the i- ideas you had about yourself as you're going along the wrong way that kept you in there so long?
So one of the things about me and my story is that I graduated from high school. Within 3 months of high school being over, I
Hmm.
buried three of my best friends. And I'm
Mm,
not talking about people I saw in the lunchroom. I'm not talking about Bob from Algebra 2 class. I'm talking about my inner circle. I buried three of my closest friends, two
hmm.
on the same day, by the way. So that inner dialogue was I didn't want to feel.
Mm,
I didn't want to feel the pain.
hmm.
Heroin was my outlet to not feeling that pain
Hmm.
because it was immense. I don't think they ever taught that in school on how to deal with that exact
Mm-mm.
reality, no
Mm-mm.
matter what.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to feel. And whatever it took for me not to feel those feelings, that was my driving force.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. A good chunk of what I do in my coaching and counseling practice is stress, dealing with managing stress, because I believe that's the core to everything. That's how I ended up in addictions. It's how I end up in bad relationships. It's been the source of every bad move I've made. I've been stressed the hell out, and I'm like, no, that sounds like a great idea, and it's not. And when I'm talking to young and old, I said, well, look, we're gonna learn how to manage stress because once you can kind of alleviate that pressure, things become a little clearer and all those impulsive ideas don't seem quite so good anymore. But like you said, we're not taught that growing up. And when we experience the of smoking weed or whatever, why not? Because your body's responding to a natural need to relieve stress. We have not learned how to do it in a functional way.
That should be a core class taught.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Because that's exactly what I was going through. I mean, it's you grow up, especially in stuff. I don't know where it is you grew up or your listeners grow up, but being in the suburbs in North Dallas, it's you go to high school, you go to college,
Hmm.
get whatever degree or job, whatever, and you go on to live your life, and whatever
Hmm.
that looks like for every different person.
Hmm.
It really seems kind of plain and simple. You do this, you do this, you do this, and you just next thing you know, you're an adult living your
Right,
life.
right, right.
They don't ever teach
Successful, you
yeah, they
know.
don't ever teach you that trouble and the hard times are going to come your way. It's always the focus is on everything's going to work out. Everything's going to
Mm,
be all everything's fine.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Didn't even know what stress was.
No,
You know,
no. Mm-mm. Until we're neck deep in alcoholism or or a heart attack or high cholesterol or my back done went out or whatever. We don't know. We think we've been handling it when really it's been handling us,
Mhm.
you know. So I don't want to jump to it. What were some of the last signs that you had that, because I know in working with addictions, by the time we start realizing we're too deep in, it's almost too late. So were there any moments like that for you?
Definitely. There were definitely some. That's when the warning lights absolutely started shining brighter and brighter.
Right.
Um, I went to several rehabs where there was then moments of clarity that you got to be sober,
Mm-hmm.
which is a gift all in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but looking back and going through all the actions that had led me to get into rehab, you realize, man, this is out of control. This is not normal. This is
Yeah.
crazy. And then you graduate the program. I graduated several programs, and then went back out to my environment.
Mm,
And man, I didn't last 24 hours.
mm, mm,
All that education I learned, all the
mm-hmm.
warning signs, everything, and I'm like, and in my heart of hearts, I was like, I want to be better. I do
Mhm.
want,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but I didn't know how to live,
Hmm.
and the warning signs were there, but I just didn't know
Hmm.
how. I didn't have the tools to get me to where my soul and my heart wanted to
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, I tell a lot of families who feel betrayed when their loved one relapses because they thought, well, they said they really meant it this time and that they were going to try. I said they meant that.
They did.
The problem is they underestimated their situation. They thought they could still be a bartender. You know, they thought they could still visit their friends that use and hang out. You know, they thought they didn't have to manage their health and their stress and could just work their 9 to 5 and come home and you'd be fine. And that the craving would never touch them. And so I tell people, I said, it's not that they don't want it. It's that their strategy is not good. And two, they underestimate the beast that they've created.
Right.
Hmm.
And it is a beast.
Oh,
Make,
oh.
make, make no mistake
Mm-mm,
about it.
mm-mm. It comes in like a cute little puppy dog.
Yeah.
But we don't realize you've been that thing is no longer it's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and when you try to leave that thing, it snatches you up hard. So when people tell me that, they're having drug dreams out of nowhere to the point where they feel their body has reacted, releasing all the endorphins as if they had gotten high. And they're like, "What happened, Will?" And I'm like, "Yo, it's because your body is used to that. And so we've got muscle memory for madness.
Mhm.
So how did you reprogram yourself for sobriety? And when I talk to people about sobriety, I said, I look at it biblically, the being sober-minded in all things, not just from the drugs and alcohol, but from my anger, from my pain, from my shame, all those things. How did you reprogram to be sane?
Well, the Lord had a plan for me. I was given the opportunity to go on a state paid vacation for about 4.5 years. My last time.
They gave you
I
free, it was free clothes too, wasn't
it,
it?
it, it was free, man. No beach, but you know, I had the opportunity to be isolated with myself, with my thoughts. Um, and it was a long journey.
Hmm.
4.5 years, I can tell you honestly that I don't even think 2 years of being locked up. I don't think 3 years was locked up. I think I was locked up for just the right amount of time that I needed to
Mm,
be locked up,
mm,
where I understood that I was going to be free, I was going to be sober, but that the journey had just started.
mm, mm,
That was the crossroads where now you have to start taking every step one foot in front of the other in a completely different direction.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because not everybody gets a new life from jail.
Right.
Some people embrace that and come out even worse from the system and just continue to recycle, going back in, going back in, going back in. What life-saving messages did you get while you were in lockup?
Great question, man. The number one is that my daily routine, I had to establish.
Mm,
I hit my knees every day with gratitude.
mm,
The Lord had blessed me with another day. I was sober. My parents weren't going to get a phone call that says I was killed in some horrible accident or I was overdosed. So I was being a blessing to them by just being alive. Secondly, I just filled my mind with positivity.
mm,
And the interesting thing about that is that I gathered from the people around me that I was locked up with, and I looked at their mentalities. I looked at how they believed, and people that had been in and out of the system, and they just thought if they could do it a different way. They didn't want to change. They just didn't want the consequences of their actions.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I knew I had to be different in my whole life if I wanted to actually make a difference.
mm-hmm,
So I looked at the environment around me. I gained a knowledge from those people that were around me and what it is I wanted to be, what I didn't want to be. I hit the weights. I worked out as much as humanly possible. I pushed my body to the edge to become healthy because I wanted to be healthy in all ways. I
Mm,
wanted to be healthy in my body. I wanted to be healthy in my mind. I wanted to be healthy in my heart and my soul. I just wanted to get the opportunity so when the doors did open for me to reach that point, that I could actually be the person that God created me to be.
mm,
I
mm,
tried to take as much knowledge and input as possible to build that person up and become that
mhm.
person, even though I was locked up.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask this question. Did you have that focus and that determination when you first got there, or was there a moment where you said, you know what, I can't do this and I need to make a shift here and now?
So that again, you asked a pretty good question. So
There's a reason why I know
yeah, I
sometimes.
know, man. You're pretty good at what you do, Will. Bringing it out. Definitely, man. There was a moment in time that I was in county jail. I just sat there and I realized that the piece of paper that came against me was the crime that I was committed of, and I'm not going to say anything about it.
Right.
It was a very large crime, had an aggravated portion to it. I was already a 4-time felon. The consequences of that could have been 99 years in prison.
Mm, mm,
We did not know what that was going to be. Only I know that a portion of that crime I did, a portion of it that I didn't. And I was, praying that all that would come to light. But I sat back and I looked at this piece of paper and it said that the state of Texas is charging the people of the state of Texas against Justin Henderson. It
mm.
wasn't the DA, it wasn't the court, it wasn't the police department. It
It's
was
the whole state.
the people of the state of Texas are saying that you have committed such a crime that they don't want you in public any longer. They don't
Wow.
want you around them any longer. And if anybody's ever been through that situation, I'm sure some of your listeners have, man. To me, it was like, whoa, that's a raw
Mm.
moment. It's like, y'all don't even want me in society
Right,
because I don't
right,
believe I'm a bad person. I just believe I'm a drug addict that
right.
made choices. But man, the people, y'all don't even want me around y'all.
Mm,
And I mean, just eye opening as you can get. This is going to be probably the most important part of my story, other than what I've become after that. But on December 19th, 2005, I had had enough, man.
mm.
I did not know what the consequences were going to be for my actions, but I knew at that moment that I could not continue with the life that I was living.
Yeah.
Um, I got on my knees.
Hmm.
And I was born into a Christian family. I'm a professing Christian right now. Um, I got on my knees and I prayed what I consider to be the most honest prayer of my life.
Mm.
Because I can tell you right now, I've prayed prayers before and the Lord answered them, and I did not hold up my end of the bargain.
Yo, bro. You're in the house.
I've, I've prayed, Lord, if you just let me out of jail tonight, I
Hmm.
swear I'm never going to do any of this again.
Right, right, right.
And the doors would open
Hmm.
on more than one occasion. That happened.
Hmm. Hmm.
Prayer answered. Boom, got the opportunity. 10 hours later, I got a needle in my arm,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? So the prayer this time was a little different.
Hmm.
The prayer this time was from the heart.
Mm.
And the prayer was this: I said, Lord, if you just take the desire away from me,
Hmm.
I'm not asking to be free. I don't know if I'm ever going to be free at this point in time. If you just take the desire away from me to do drugs, I believe that I can be the man that you created me to be.
Mm.
And I can tell you right now, I felt the addiction leave my body in a physical.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I got goosebumps right now as I say that. I got goosebumps every time I tell this story. It's not up for debate.
Hmm.
I don't care who believes, who don't believe. It doesn't matter. I believed. I felt.
Hmm. You know what's so powerful about that prayer is that God has always believed. He just needed you to believe.
Hmm.
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 Because you know where he's saying there's death and life in the tongue. But, with a lot of people I work with, when you start buying into the identity of addictions, you believe you are, the scum of the earth or whatnot, that we no longer have a destiny and that we no longer have purpose and impact on a positive note. This is what it is. But
Right.
when we start believing in something different in the real design plan, that's when we get in sync with the redemption, you
Mm.
know. And the reason I had asked you what was your turning point in jail is because, I remember having somebody fussing in a group session I was doing, and he was just talking about the system and how horrible it was, and this, that, and the other. And I said, okay, that's great, man. But let me tell you, because I knew how hard he was running, and I said, what was it like when you first got that hot shower? And he just looked at me. I said, what was it like when you first got a real meal and not Cheetos and whatever you found, and you actually could feed your body what it needed to sustain itself, and you actually could sleep someplace that was relatively safe. And he got real quiet because I told him, I said, look, I don't believe in rock bottom because you hear that all the time. Because I've seen too many people blow past what should have been rock bottom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, blow past it. I don't believe in that. I believe in the wake up call.
Amen.
Yeah, the wake up call. And I think it's orchestrated by God to give us a wake up call. And sometimes it's a series of wake up calls because like you said, I wasn't paying attention to the blinker light. It was working. I just my vision wasn't seeing it. And so he had to strip away everything for me to wake up and actually see the light that was going to take me off that cliff.
Boy, that's a mouthful right there, brother.
Yo, I told you
I
these
don't
are.
believe in that rock bottom either, man. I believe in a series of wake up calls, and we all live this life, man. Everybody's different,
Mm,
and we all got stimulation and whatever hits us at the right time. But you can go all the way to the end. Some people don't get the opportunity to wake up
mm-hmm,
call, and what a
mm-hmm,
glorious opportunity it is to even share with anybody the fact that I did wake up, and apparently you did wake up too. How blessed we are that the full light did come on.
mm,
The
mm,
full transformation did appear,
mm-hmm,
what we could possibly be, rather than all the stigmas and things attached to people that have been in our situations and been in our, realities, and that, there is hope.
mm-hmm.
Some people don't get that opportunity.
No, they don't. They don't. And the reality is sometimes we've done so much damage that I mean, because time is finite, for us on this planet, and your body is not can only recover so much, so you can recover, but you won't recover everything, depending on how long and how strong you were in your mess. So that's a reality. Sometimes I gotta let people know, like, we can come back, but you're not gonna get it all back,
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
So
daily fight, man. You got
uh,
to pick up that cross. You got to pick up that cross every day, brother.
yeah, absolutely. So you compare your story to the prodigal son. What part of that story resonates the most with you? The rebellion, the rock bottom, or the return?
I I think a lot of it resonates with me for sure, because I think that if you take the timeline of the things that happen, it's just it could just kind of it just kind of it's almost like my story, because I did come from a good family, a loving
Mm,
family, caring
mm,
family, and then just the path that I went down was so different than anybody that ever lived in my family. I was blazing a path to destruction,
mm,
and everybody was just like, what in the heck is this guy doing,
mm-hmm,
so the part that got me was the return.
mm, mm,
When you finally say, you know what, it says that he came to his senses, and he says, even the people that work for my father and my mother are eating better than this, you
yeah.
know and he went back and he's like, just let me work, let me sleep. I think it was with the cattle or whatever. And he's
Mm,
just like, just let me have a place just
mm-hmm,
to feel like I belong, whatever. And then the reaction from his father, was just everything to me. And that was very similar to my reaction, is that, as much destruction and as much shame that I had caused, and, my whole family, not just my parents, but my whole family, they watched me go through this. which is not something that I understood in total until even years later. And I'm still getting some of that,
Yeah.
now. But the father put his arms around him and said, you're my son,
Hmm.
and I'm going to love you. I'm tearing up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop loving you, and
Get,
that was everything I needed, you know, to know that, okay,
hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
they love
it's amazing. I'm telling you, the support network is so key, and I actually do a lot of recovery work with the families because they're the unsung heroes that sometimes they got to take a step back so they can be ready when you're ready because they can burn out right along with you and they ain't using. So, imagine the serious damage they take, watching you come in and out, oh, we're gonna believe him this time. Oh, he done messed up again. Okay, how about this time? Oh, what do you think kept them having the faith for you?
and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think I gave them any reason to continue believing in me, to be quite honest with you.
Hmm.
I had taken them down roads that I don't think they ever thought that they were going to be in, but I
Mm,
just think that they believed that they raised me to be better,
mm,
and
mm,
that if we could get past the drugs, get past the addiction, then maybe the things that they instilled within me would rise to the surface.
mm, hmm.
Maybe they just had an eternal hope in me that, they just weren't going to give up,
Mm.
period.
Yeah.
Because I gave them every possible reason.
Hmm.
I stole from them.
Yeah.
I did everything possible to push everyone away.
Yep. Yep. Hmm. And it's commendable because I've been doing this for a while. Not all families make it. Some can't hang, and I don't blame them. They can't hang. They're like, I'm out. Just the anxiety of, am I going to get the call? Is he going to be dead this time? I remember sitting in the hospital with a young man, and he had overdosed. And the parents hadn't got there yet, and I was broke up. And I remember talking to him by his hospital bed, just talking to him. I said, "Yo, man, you got to come back from this. Too many people love you and believe in you." And he wasn't even my kid,
Mm.
you know. And to imagine a family who's done that multiple times, it's amazing. And I can only think that that has to come seriously from God to be able to hang in there and continue to love. So I know they had to work on trust and forgiving you through all this, but how did you work through trusting and forgiving yourself?
I think it all starts with making a commitment to yourself and sticking to that commitment.
Mm,
You know, you build confidence by telling yourself, okay, this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do X. And in my prison sentence, I said, I would plan my weeks out. I would plan my reading out. I would plan my workouts out. And when I would
mhm,
accomplish those things, because those were factors that I could control within myself and within myself as a man, to say, okay, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do.
mm,
I'm
mhm.
going to make a plan for my life, because if you either have a plan, if you don't have a plan to live, you got a plan to fail.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm,
there's another phrase out there that they say it, better than that. It's a plan for failure, but that builds confidence. Those were
mhm,
factors within my control that for 4.5 years that I was true to myself.
mhm.
I can be true to myself, that I can be true to the people around me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always challenging people. I say, you've kept so many promises to your addiction. Can you keep promises to your sobriety?
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that would hit.
Yeah. Hey, yo, because like we will go so hard in our addiction. I mean, and we could trade stories all day long about all the
Mm,
crazy things we would do.
yeah.
But then we get to sobriety and we're like, well, I'll go to a couple meetings. And I'm like, wait a minute, the math doesn't add up. You were doing all sorts of tricks and bargains and hustles and to get you high, but now in sobriety, you're gonna go to an hour meeting a week. I mean, how's that make sense?
Yeah, in your addiction, nothing is going to stop you. You will stop at nothing. You will no adversity that you could
Hmm.
come up with that you're not going to overcome to go get that high.
Hmm. Hmm.
You will run through brick walls. You'll lie. You'll come up with the craftiest stuff to say to anybody just to
Yep.
get $20,
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
But you'll just, oh, I'll just go to a meeting or two.
Yeah.
I'll just give it a small percentage of my time to transform me. Okay,
Right.
that's
Right.
a great investment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because I'll often do the counseling and I'll say well, I haven't gotten high. And I was like, okay, that's great, and he's like, and I told him, I said, I'm still sober. I haven't gotten high. And I was okay, well, how many times have you thought about it? And nobody ever asked that question. I said, I didn't ask you, how many times did you think about it? And then they're like, oh. I was like, yeah, man. I said, this is real. The breakthrough and the breakdown is right here. And this is where it lives. This is where all the mess and the miracle lives. And you have to make a choice every day, like you said. And so and sometimes I have to explain that to families, the reality of this, this is not, and this is gonna confuse some people. This is not a physical addiction. This is an emotional and spiritual addiction. It's
Amen.
it's in me. It's in my bone marrow because I've done it so long. I use it to celebrate. I use it to grieve. I use it to laugh. I use it to relax. Hell, I use it when I got the flu. Yeah, I had people like, I never got sick when I was high. It's like, no, you didn't know you were sick. You
it's,
know?
it's it's ingrained in you and you don't even realize it.
Mm-mm,
So there is a mindset that you have to renew, and unfortunately, you have to renew it daily.
Thank you. I was hoping you was gonna say that.
There's no cure.
This is not a one and done.
No,
Hmm.
no. And if
Hmm.
that's your thinking, if you just think that you're going to say a prayer, or you're going to go to one group, or you're going to go to one meeting, and
Hmm.
it's going to be a cure, and you're going to forever walk and not have to worry about it again, then you are sadly mistaken.
Hmm.
You have a lot more to learn.
Way, a whole lot more. So you were in jail, and you made the first shift, in jail, like, okay, I'm gonna do something new. But once you get out of jail, because jail and long-term inpatient treatment are both bubbles, you know. Now, mind you, I know you can still get drugs in jail. I know that. But it's not like the streets. Don't get it twisted. So once you got out and that fresh air hits you, what mindset did you have to shift again to stay on the right path?
It was immediate. Um, it was immediate. I had to continue my routine. I had to continue getting on my knees. I had to continue doing the things that work for me inside, outside,
Hmm.
because I had to continue building confidence in myself that I could do it on the outside as I did it on the inside. So when I continued to be true to myself while pursuing a different life on the outside, the mindset was, okay, I've got these strikes against me. What are the variables I can control? What are the ones that I have to let go of? What places do I have to go and what places do I not have to go? Anybody that held any kind of special place in my heart or in my mind that was a part of a group of people that I used to hang around with, I could not be around.
Hmm.
I could
Hmm.
not be around them whatsoever. I kept
Yep.
a clear,
Hmm.
a clear ring around me, and if I just couldn't do it, man. I
Hmm.
have to be so grounded and so driven to go in a completely other direction. I don't have time for that. I don't
Yeah.
have.
Hmm.
I'm a five-time felony. I'm
Hmm.
a five-time felon. Excuse me. I had five felonies. I'm a five-time felon. I don't have any more chances
Mm. Mm.
out. So I mean, I don't care what you got going on in there. Cool.
Hmm.
We can care about each other from a distance. So
Hmm.
my mindset was constantly just improving on the things that I had neglected from long ago.
Hmm.
One of that being, which my mother hated, because when I got out of prison, I lived with her for only 3 weeks. she was literally seeing me operate on the best levels that she had seen me operate in over 10 years. And after 3 weeks, I told my mom, I said, "Hey, I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm damn near breaking down again, Will."
Go ahead. It's all right, man.
She said, "Why? Why, Justin?" And I said, "Mama, I said, if I don't leave now, I'm not going to be the man that I need to be. I can't sit here and keep you feeding me. Can't
Mm,
sit here and keep paying for my house, place to live. I'm 30 years old. I got to go be a man. I got
mm.
to go figure it out."
Yeah.
And that was tough. That was tough for her to see because she wanted her baby at home. And,
Yeah,
I
where
was,
where it was safe.
yeah, I was safe. And she
Mhm,
wasn't, and she was
mhm,
still worried about me. And she didn't know that I had already made the decision within myself.
mhm, mhm.
She believed me, but I had already said these things
Yeah.
before,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, but I had to go prove to Justin
That's right.
what Justin had to do.
There's a decision, and then we have to follow through with action to keep the promise to ourselves, or else it's just lip service. It's another form of lip service in sobriety, and it will just lead us, it'll just lead us right back.
And I was good with lip service, brother.
Oh,
I was good
oh,
with lip service.
we all are.
The other thing was I was a drug dealer.
Hmm.
I made fast money. The best thing I did was go get a job.
Mm,
I
hmm.
got a job in the oil field. You
Hmm.
know, they said to pack your bags. It was time to go, and you didn't know when you were coming back.
Mm,
But that was what I needed. I,
yeah.
I had made so much fast money dealing drugs. I didn't know what the concept of a true dollar was. You know,
Yeah, yeah. To do
um,
a budget with some of my drug dealers is the funniest thing because, for them to have to wait because the radiator would break down in the car. Oh, I got you. Boop. Give me an hour. Yeah. And because of that, they never respected money. So when I'm having to teach them how to budget, I say, yo, you might not be able to do that. You got to save money for a rainy day. I said, rainy day? It's like, yeah, junk is gonna fall apart, bro, and you're gonna need to save money for it. What? Yeah. And then,
what is that?
right, what is that? And I'm like, don't start going to the cash loan places, please. Because it'll be another trap. But you have to be patient. You have to create delayed gratification. And it's funny, but it's not. But because it's real. Because not only are we dealing with the physical addiction of the drug, but we're dealing with the addiction to the money and everything being easy. So for
Yeah.
you to leave and go be a man, I mean, literally, when you came out, you literally had to go to war. And I think when I tell a lot of families, I said, look, when your loved one goes to jail or inpatient or whatever, you're not dropping a car off at the shop to come out fixed.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the beginning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so you coming out and realizing that, that you had to stay probably even more vigilant than ever, which I think sometimes that's a shock for people that it's harder out here. Jail is hard, but if you're trying to do the right thing, it is way harder out here. Way harder, you
Well,
know.
jail's actually easy on some accounts because they're doing your laundry. They're
Right.
feeding your feed, 3 hot
Hmm.
set cots. It's going to be air conditioned. It's going to be in the
It's
winter. It's going to
it's
be warm.
structured. It's
A blanket.
structured.
Now you're not near the people you want. And you don't have the life that you want. But I mean, you're going to make it through the day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're not
Hmm.
starved.
Yep.
You got medical. Whatever. So in some aspects, yeah, it's really really hard. But in some aspects, it's pretty easy. Because you
Hmm.
don't have to put forth any effort to do
Hmm. Hmm.
given to you.
Yep, yeah, everything is laid out for you on what you got to do. Just give up your freedom. And this
Yeah.
is and this is the problem. That's why there are so many repeat offenders, because they haven't developed the grit or the determination to actually go to war on the outside
Mm-hmm.
to create the lifestyle that they're supposed to have.
Yeah, that's the reality that a lot of people don't face, and the recidivism
Yeah.
rates are so high is
Hmm.
because you don't get you don't realize that it's war every
Hmm.
day
Hmm.
until you start to make progress, until you start to make headway. You're never going to be able to rest on your laurels if you
Hmm.
haven't created
Hmm.
anything.
And I always, was spiritual because the devil is he ain't about to let you just, tra la la into the promised land. He's going to come up with all kinds of ways to bring you back. And the stories I would hear, like I would have a young lady working at a job, at a gas station, and brothers would come in and offer her drugs for gas,
Hmm.
and just like bam, just like that, out of nowhere, and I've heard that stuff all the time. I had a one dude, and he was the big green mile cat,
Hmm.
and he literally had to develop a reputation because he lived in a bad neighborhood, that he was approached almost every day by someone wanting to sell him drugs, even though he was working good and doing a good job. He ended up having to fight to build a reputation that the next person that approaches me is going to get the pay speed out of him.
Hmm.
And after a while, he became like this guy, like, oh no, don't talk to him. Did you say something to me? Like, no, 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 man.
Sober
Because
Mike Tyson.
right, right, literally, literally. But that's what he had to do to protect his sobriety, because that lifestyle ain't gonna just let you go. You
Well,
know,
I think you said a lot there when you said that you have to do so much to protect the gift that you've been given. If you know that you've been given that gift of sobriety,
hmm.
only you know what it takes to keep it.
So, what are some crazy ways that you were still tempted on your new journey in sobriety when you got out? What happened? I mean, you left mom's house, you started going on your own. I know there were other things that tempted you. What were they?
Well, in the oil field, there's only a couple different people. There's ex-cons, ex-police officers, and ex-military. So you've got this whole ragamuffin bunch piled together, and we were out on locations, and not everybody was up to the same good that I was up to. So
Right.
and it was almost considered, this is what we're doing. Come on with us. I'm like, no,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
I can't do that. What are you a punk? What are you this? What are you that? I'm like, no, I'm just on a different trajectory, So I don't know how else to tell you this. You can think whatever you want to think about me. If you want to think I'm less than a man, then
Hmm.
cool. You know what I mean? But I've just got something different going on inside me that I cannot go be with you
Yeah.
right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
I
They
cannot
probably
be.
thought trajectory was a new drug.
Yeah.
What drug is that?
Yeah. How you spell that?
Right.
But that was probably just the societal norms and hanging around people, and this is going to be a weird topic, is that a lot of people that do drugs have never faced any real consequences. So they're still in a
Mm.
phase where it's still just a happy, joyous, time of partying and, a good time for them. They
Hmm.
don't understand the pain and the chaos and the
Mm-mm.
wrong
Mm-mm.
and what I've
Because
been.
the addiction was a buffer from that.
Yes, for
Hmm.
sure. So they tend to think that, oh, we're just gonna go do a couple lines of coke, man. Come on, let's go. We'll
Hmm.
party. And I'm like, well, that ain't a party to me. Like,
Hmm.
you don't, in
Hmm.
fact, you really don't want to see what happens after those first couple lines start, to be
That
honest. This is going to turn into a whole nother adventure.
right, 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 right.
I know you think it's going to be fun.
I'm trying to save your life.
Yeah, I'm doing you a favor by telling you no right now, probably. But yeah, the societal norms of people not facing consequences, and that's fine. The trajectories of their life is what it is in their realities. But
Hmm.
for people who have been through what me and yourself and other people have gone through, it's hard to describe. It's tough. It's not that we receive, or we it's not that we deserve some medal on our chest because we've done something valiant or whatever, because most of us created our own mess. We
Hmm.
worked our way out of our own mess, and we have to continue doing work to stay out of the mess. It's just that it's a different reality. you know
Mm.
some people, they need to hear that it's going to be a struggle, like it or
Hmm.
not. If this is what you want, if you want to build a life that you can be proud of, then you have to be ready to be able to say no to people.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that word no is really tough sometimes. You have to be willing to not be sometimes around family.
Mm.
Sometimes
Hmm.
family is people that
Yep.
bring you,
Yep.
and find your triggers and things. So, separating yourself in a way to where you're different, but you're not different. You have to stay, drug free, but you still have to be a part of society. It's a very interesting line to walk for a lot of addicts.
Well, my theory is that, you ever hear about how some students are failing because they're more intelligent than the norm and they're bored. That's why they're failing. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, that they're not challenged enough.
Right. So a lot of my addicts become superstars once they can really focus in on their sobriety and their purpose. And it's my theory that because you guys got distracted from your real superpower was to be legendary, was to make a difference, make an impact. And and I've seen this too many times to think it's crazy because every last one of my people, just like you said, people wouldn't recognize you. That you have to tell people your story, which is kind of the problem I'm having today. Is like I have people who are celebrities, I have people who are politicians, I have people who are phenomenally successful, but don't share their story because of the stigma.
Hmm.
And it's part of their story that makes them phenomenal, So you went from the oil field, you know, working that with the ex-cops, ex-Marines, ex-everybody's, probably ex-girlfriends, you know. What made you shift into Lone Star?
Well, I got hurt in Colorado, blew out 3 discs in my back, which I love the oil field, by the way. There wasn't a night that I went to bed where I did not feel accomplished as a man. It was what I needed for that period of time in my life. Coming out of prison, I
Hmm.
proved to myself that I was a hard worker. I could work. I could work.
Hmm.
I could be honest. And then hurt my back. Had to go through about a year of rehab. Got the opportunity to join a contracting company in a sales
Hmm.
position.
Hmm.
Um,
Now,
and,
wait,
and
let me pause you for a second.
all right,
You hurt your back and you were in rehab for how long?
a year.
And
A,
you didn't, feel the need to go back to old ways for the pain and da 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 da.
not a moment.
That's
Not a
amazing.
moment.
That's
So
usually that's the excuse people have.
so thank you. Going back to the story I told you earlier, where it gives me goosebumps, where I felt the addiction leave my body,
Hmm.
December 19th, 2005. I knew I was done.
Mm.
I knew I was never doing a drug again. Whether anybody else believed me or not,
Hmm.
I knew I was done. So, yes, opportunities came my way. They would try to give you hydrocodones, and there was an opportunity to take more than you were prescribed, things like that.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
never, I got off them as soon as I could after
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pain, whatever. I got off them. I never did any medication that the doctor didn't prescribe me. So I got the opportunity to get in sales, which is where, in the last several months, I've really been thinking about this. It's very interesting because as a drug dealer, I was in sales.
Yeah.
And a lot of drug dealers in prison don't even know they're sleeping on skills
Oh,
that could
bruh.
get them to
I
the top of
know. I know.
the industry. They have no idea if they would just point it to good.
Hmm.
But anyways, that's a whole nother podcast probably if you want to talk about it. But at a time I could get you probably any drug in the world. You know,
Hmm.
I could pull out my phone and I could connect you to anybody in the world you wanted. Well, now in sales, what I do now, you want a carpenter? I got it.
Hmm.
You want a concrete guy? I got it. You want a
Hmm.
tile guy? I got, you know what I'm saying? There's a
Right.
very
Right.
weird parallel that the Lord led me to, that put me in an industry where I got to use the same skills that I
Hmm.
developed long ago now.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So were there any setbacks with the business or or any problems with your background or your history where people didn't respect you? I mean, don't tell me you just rolled up in it and you were just like, bam.
Well, so the opportunity that I got was with a gentleman who got me started and did a lot of training with me. But the number one thing he said, and this is crucial and paramount to my story, he said, whenever you walk into someone's house, you don't ever tell them where you've been.
Mm.
You don't ever tell them your story,
Yep.
ever. So I
Hmm.
had that on my back. It's like, okay, well, cool. It's your company. I'll represent you however it is you feel represented because it's your company at the end of the
Hmm.
day. Um, So then comes the time for me and him to negotiate my salary.
Mm-hmm.
3 years after working for him, and I did kind of walk in as a superstar. The Lord did put me in a position to where He elevated me
Okay.
in that, because I was very faithful to what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I was making that company a lot of money, and I knew what I was bringing to the table. And the last negotiation me and him had over our salary is, he says, "No, I'm not paying you $1 more." He says, "You're maxed out with me." And I said, "So the rest of the time I work here," I said, "this is all the money I'm ever going to make." I said, "You're never going to pay me any more money."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "That's correct." And then he followed that up with, he goes, "You would think somebody in your position would be happy with the money that they make."
Ooh.
And I,
Ooh.
brother,
You don't ever say that to us.
brother, you have no idea how 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 much that inspired me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He didn't
It
know. He
didn't
didn't
even
know.
hurt me, because I already knew who I was. I'd already proved myself out here in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already been growing my confidence from day one they opened that gate. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "You're going to try to use a mistake I made as a
Mm.
young, as the who I am and the value that I bring to your company right now." It wasn't long after that we parted company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I bet. I bet.
So,
Because it was like he's trying to lock you in a system when you're destined to be something much more.
right,
Just to serve him.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I was waving his flag from the time my feet hit the floor in the morning till I went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
and and I just, like I said, I wasn't even hurt. It,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even mad.
Right.
I
Right.
was inspired, because I knew I had so
You're
much
like,
more
thank
to
you.
give. Yeah, you just fueled a fire that you have no idea. That's pure grade gasoline you just threw on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that. Light the match.
Mm-hmm. So what does Lone Star represent for you? Or what are you trying to present, the business, how does it show your story, or does it show your story?
it, my story in Lone Star Boys is one and the same. So
Okay.
we do remodeling, um, going to a lot of homes where it's builder grade, it's not been taken care of, not been kept up, and it kind of sounds like my old life.
Hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was running on old parts, and my life was falling apart. I had leaks. I had
Mm.
crap in the armor.
Mm.
So my business is a testimony. It's a ministry. I get to come across people. I get, first of all, their homes are in disarray,
Mm-hmm.
or they wouldn't be reaching out to me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Needing remodeling. I identify with that because my life needed remodeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had to go through a transformation. They're looking for a transformation.
Mm.
It puts me front and center with a purpose that, I can't even begin to tell you how much I love just bringing people joy, because changing out the old and bringing in the new, there's just
Mm.
this revitalization part to that. There's so many more other components also, is that the testimony that I bring, and I try to share my testimony with whoever I can. That my old boss used to tell me, "Don't ever share your story." I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to hear my story, and if you don't gravitate towards it, or you judge me for it, you may not be my ideal customer.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
I may not want to work with you.
Mm.
We may not be equally yoked.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a discernment that goes along with business.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked earlier, you asked me questions about how continue to get better, whatever. And it's like, life is a never ending process of learning. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I've tried to, I don't know anything. I don't know everything. I don't act like I know everything. I know that I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday.
Amen.
you know, because that's what the Lord has placed on my heart. So I have prayed with people inside their homes. I pray with people, if they allow me to, at the beginning of projects, that things go smoothly, that we don't,
Mm-hmm.
any problems whatsoever. I try
Mm-hmm.
to use it as a ministry. So I mean, it's really a personification of who I am in my real life as to who I am in business. Who I
Mm-hmm.
am in real life is I love people. I got a
Yeah.
heart for God. I got a
Mm-hmm.
heart for, doing the right thing, doing good things. We pride ourselves on craftsmanship, on not cutting corners, on doing a good job, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the people that I bring around me and the people that work for me, they gravitate towards that too. And we become this cohesive unit and everybody is bought in, you know?
Wow.
And it's just this wild, reality that this guy that used to, man, I used to get locked up and the cells were so cold and I was detoxing off heroin that I'd have to
Mm-hmm.
wrap my arms and my legs in the toilet paper,
Mm.
stay warm from freezing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
because you
was
was
a
dope sick.
reality. I'm
I
literally
know.
shaking,
Mm-hmm.
detoxing, to now I get to wake up and there's 10 to 12 families that depend on me
Mm.
to be the man that I'm supposed to be, that I be the man that I'm called to be, which was the prayer that I asked God for. If
Mm.
you just take the desire from me, Lord, I believe I can be the man that you created me to be.
Mm.
I'm walking it
Yeah.
every day. You know what I mean? That's so powerful to me, man. And I
Yeah.
don't care if anybody sees it. I don't, it don't make no difference to me. I'm not doing it for
Mm-hmm.
praise. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing it for glory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm doing it because that's the agreement I made with the
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. So many speakers and influencers talk about the purpose has to be bigger than ourselves. And I talk about it all the time in counseling, especially with my addicts. The only way, the only true way, in my opinion, to create a quality long-term sober lifestyle is you have to find a purpose greater than yourself.
Hmm.
I can't just sit on the fact that I stopped using crack or whatnot. That's not that, like I said, that's the beginning of the story. The real story is the purpose that came out of it, that continues to grow and continues to level up as we help more and more people from our story to be part of our story as we become part of theirs. It's like it's that circle, man, that I believe we were all created for, and which is why I love this podcast because now we can connect to so many more people on the web, on the whole cyberverse, where they can that's I'm listening to Justin, that's my story. You know, I've wrapped myself in toilet paper. I've been dope sick multiple times. I've overdosed several times. You know what? And I don't want that to be the end of my story.
Yeah.
And man, that's how deep this can be, and how powerful it can be.
I
So
just go ahead, man.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. I want to hear
I
it.
just, you touched on something, man. I just hope anybody listening realizes that it does not have that reality does not have to be the reality. There can be hope. You can make a decision that says this is not how it's going to end.
Mm,
I'm
mm,
going to make a change.
mm. That's funny because that was going to be my question for you. We are in sync tonight.
Because I think a lot of people out there, they're like, well, okay, that's just he might have gotten lucky or whatever. No, man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
decision made. And
Mm-mm.
sometimes that decision has you saying, like we talked about earlier, maybe I can't go to that family reunion.
Mm.
Maybe I can't go to that high school, reunion
Right.
party.
Right. Right. Right.
Or
Mm-hmm.
that night out with the coworkers going to wherever, what I'm saying? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
go,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Maybe
protect.
maybe I might have to miss Christmas to get myself together. It's not the last Christmas. It will be if I keep going on this path. But I'm here for all the Christmases, all the Thanksgivings. So I might have, no, I don't, it's not a might. I need to sacrifice some things to get to the lifestyle that I need to have, not just for me to live, but for everybody to live.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
And
we forget that.
we definitely do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who watch the show and listen to it who are really going through their go through it and they think that it's over. And you know, I, just listening to you just reminds me like it is just the beginning, yo. This is just the first act. You know, so long as you keep getting back up, it will come to pass, you
Yeah.
know.
Fall
But if you,
seven, get up eight.
yep, yep, yep. But we can create a series of quitting if that's gonna, because that's another addiction, you know.
Well, and that becomes an identity.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I messed up again. Oh
Yep.
well,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
guess it ain't
Mm-hmm.
just guess it's just not meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember I told somebody, I said, look, I understand that relapse happens, but you should never relapse the same way twice.
Hmm.
I said you should learn. Okay, okay. So what happened? You went over a friend's house? Okay, you learned. Don't do that again. I want to eliminate all the ways possible for the devil to come get you. And then eventually he's going to get tired. But what happens is he keeps doing the same trick over and over again, and we keep falling into it, and it's no longer a trick. It's a habit.
Well, that's what you spoke about earlier, but ingrained in our DNA. I mean, there is a
Hmm.
mindset shift that has to take place, and
Has to.
I personally believe you just have to start believing in yourself.
Mm. Well, that
If
was your
you,
prayer.
if you absolutely,
Yeah, that was your prayer, man.
if anyone is serious about changing their circumstances, you have to start believing in yourself. Period.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in you, ain't nobody else going to believe in you.
Hmm. Hmm. I had
You can have a resume full of black, flags, and then be like, oh, maybe I don't think we're going to take a chance on you. You know what I'm saying? You got to go sell
yeah.
yourself.
Hmm.
Hey, this
Hmm.
is what I've done. I've
Yep.
done this, and this. Can I have this opportunity? And if they don't give you the opportunity, then you go to the next person and give you the opportunity.
Hmm.
I was
I,
told no that I couldn't flip burgers. Come on, really?
come on
Like
now.
I can't. You ain't
Mm-mm.
gonna be flipping burgers for you,
Mm.
and that's eventually I got so many no's that the only option was to go to the oil field. And it's like you got to be completely separated,
Mm.
which again, huge blessing, huge blessing. But I mean, how many people are willing to go apply for a job at McDonald's and get told no, and then them just be like, oh well, that's
Right,
it.
right, right. Yeah, I remember I spoke at a high school, alternative school, and I just had a real come to Jesus moment where I said, it doesn't matter if your mama believes in you or your grandma, it doesn't even matter if God believes in you if you don't believe in you,
Hmm.
because that has to all come into alignment. You have to stop preaching defeat into your life and start actually preaching life, because no one's going to live it for you. No one's going to live it. No one's going to save you but you. You can have people help. But if you don't believe that you have what it takes to overcome, which we were supposed to be overcomers, what we
Right.
doing? What we doing? Mm,
Death and life are the power of the tongue, like you said.
yeah, yeah.
The Bible
Hmm.
says you have to speak that into yourself. And
Hmm.
man, man, addiction is so bad, man, and you get just it's so tough to shed that skin because it becomes a part of your inner dialogue. It
Hmm.
becomes a part of what you believe your destiny is, and there's just so many layers that you got to fight through,
Hmm.
and it's not going to ever be easy.
It's not supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be. But
Mm-mm.
if you can go through the steps that it takes to shed a layer, shed a layer, shed a layer, shed a layer, eventually
Hmm.
that load is going to get lighter.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
eventually you're going to start stepping into your purpose
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you want it.
Absolutely. If you want
If
it.
you want it. And
And
if
it's
you
got
don't
it's,
want
it's got to be more. You got to be able to put the steps forth to have it, you know. Mm, 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 mm.
it,
So
I'm very
what? Go
go ahead.
ahead.
We're a lot in sync, man. We're vibing, man. We're breaking bread.
Well,
What you got?
I
What
was
you
gonna
got for
say, what's the next step for you? Because I know you're always moving and grinding. What's the next level for you and Lone Star?
so there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of work in North Texas, man. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work to be a good quality contractor out here. There's our industry, just like I'm sure the industry everywhere, just
Mm-hmm.
has bad people in it, man. We just want to continue to make a good name for ourselves. We want to continue to do quality work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I've got a couple of different paths. There's some real estate investment paths that I've made some partnerships with that I think that
Mm-hmm.
we go down. There's some business or there's some land development things. I also own another business where we do custom home building.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, really. just taking what the Lord's going to bring me, man.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Okay.
being faithful in what I have now. You know, don't take any of this for granted whatsoever.
Mm,
And then just whatever associations the Lord wants to bring my way, be diligent in that, be discerning in that, be grateful in that, and be
mm.
faithful in that. That whatever move we make next, I'm is going to be the right one. I'm
Okay.
only 6 years into my company. I'm
Okay.
6 years A+ rated with the BBB. I mean, like I don't know how to tell you how many blessings have come my way, but the reality from a guy that used to jump off the top deck in his Collin County cell to fake an injury because I was detoxing so bad to get to the infirmary. So I'd
Right.
hope they'd give me some meds to
Hmm.
stop my pain, you know, to the reality of what I live every day and I wake up to is just the gratitude just overflows, man. So where
Yeah.
it's going next, I
Yeah.
don't truly know. Like I just want to be faithful to what I've been given and just
Okay.
try to take one step in front of the other, man.
So for anybody who's listening that this is really resonating with, how can they find you? You know?
Uh, Easy. Justin Henderson, Lone Star Boys Contracting. If you live anywhere in Texas, hell, I don't even care where you live. If you live in America, you can find me on Facebook, Justin Henderson. You can find Lone Star Boys Contracting. Right now, my story is being broadcast. This same story, my story is being broadcast in every state and federal prison right now. And I've given every single person the opportunity that wants to change their life, the opportunity to contact me, Justin at LoneStarBoys.com. Like I said, my DMs are open for anybody that wants
Mm,
to contact me. I will talk to anybody whatsoever. But before you do so, please, please make sure that you're serious.
hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm serious about my life.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
going to have riffraff in my life, and I have mentored people. I do mentor people that come out of the penitentiary. Um,
Hmm.
all of them have fallen off.
Mm, hmm. Hmm.
I live my life no nonsense.
Yep.
I want to help, but I'm not going to let anybody else bring me down from what I'm doing
Yeah.
in that purpose.
Hmm.
So I have mentored people. I would continue to mentor people. Please contact me if you need someone to pray over you. I will pray over you. I will
Mm,
do whatever it is I can to give my gift away to you, but give you my blessing. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like I'm not gonna ruin what I'm doing for you, and I make that really clear in the sand. You know, with people, this is a
hmm.
line I'm not going to cross.
Good.
So if you're serious,
I
they
mean,
want to
because
talk
you got to protect it. You got to protect it,
by
man.
all means. Like
Hmm.
I'm that sober Mike Tyson. I'm ready to fight.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean? I'm
right.
ready to fight. I'm ready to fight for the gift I got.
For anybody who's built, because I think we're all, warrior kings or warrior queens. We have to protect our dynasty. We have to protect our empire. And so that means, some people can't get in. You know,
Unfortunately,
yeah, unfortunately. We want to help everybody,
yeah.
but if
And
if you're not ready to help yourself, you can't come with me.
I think I always hear people like people have been down similar roads, whatever, that have that have children, whatever. And it's like they always say, kids ain't gonna be able to get over on me. I done played all them tricks. I know all the tricks, I know all the games, whatever. I mean,
Right.
it's the same thing. I mean, there ain't a lie I haven't told to get what
Oh,
I want.
man.
You know, there ain't no shady
Hmm.
thing that ever kept
Hmm.
me that I wouldn't do to get
Yeah.
my addiction
Yeah.
filled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I kind of make that disclaimer to people. Like, please reach out to me. I want to talk with you. I want to share, my story with you if you want to hear it and you want help. But man, I really want them to I really want them to make the decision within themselves, that they want it,
Mm, 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 mm.
because
So,
I can see through some BS.
hey, yo, man,
That's
that's a whole nother topic.
a whole other, again, you touched on some things that could
Yeah, because
probably
I don't
offend
I don't do
anyone.
drug screens in my business because I can always tell. You form a connection with me. I ain't gotta do a drug screen. I'm looking at you. You telling me what you're doing and you're not doing, so I know. I mean, what we working on here? What you mean you've been late to work every day this week? What? Come on now. Come on. But hey, look, I appreciate you being on the show. And if this episode spoke to anybody listening, as it spoke to me, I mean, I loved this episode. I want to invite you to take action and follow balance and breakthroughs and never miss a story that inspires and challenges you. My stories are getting better and better as the guests are more on fire, more legendary, like this man right here. And if you found value today, please leave a 5-star review, send it, share it with one of your friends, lock in, subscribe, and you will help other people discover conversations like this that will change their life and save their life. So remember, breakthrough isn't just luck. It's about showing up and owning your story and taking the next right step. So, Justin, thank you for being on the show.
Man,
I
Will,
appreciate it.
I'm grateful that you gave me the opportunity to have a platform to share, brother. I'm really,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
my heart goes
Absolutely.
out to you, man. Thank you.
And as always, this is Will, and this is my show, Balance and Breakthroughs, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.